one with our crews here really produced some fantastic results. We were able to get the entire beach lined and most of the rock work set. We've got the frame rocks in place for where the waterfall will be coming out of that constructed wetland filter. Here on day 2, we are down at the bottom end of the deep section of this pond. You can see Alan and the guys have got some really massive boulders set. That rock right there is taller than Boulevard. You're looking at 6 feet tall, probably every bit of 3 or 4 tons for that monster right there. It's getting tricky now. We've got the machine in on the slope trying to create space and get these big boulders in place. Once this section here gets finished up, probably to about here, we're gonna actually dig for the under drain. We've got to make sure any water that gets underneath this pond is evacuated. So there's gonna be a drainage system installed down at the deep end here, all the way out to the wood line where the pipe can daylight and release any water that might get trapped down there. We really are gonna make some time today with getting this bottom section of pond done. Hopefully button up where the waterfall's coming out of the wetland filter. Then we get rolling on that under drain. At that point, I'd like to see if we can maybe split up into 2 crews, start working the bottom with the 7,000 gallon reservoir while Alan stays up here and gets his pond buttoned up. That's gonna help us achieve our finish time of 3 weeks on this project. And there is still a lot to do.
A lot of times when you run into heavier soil, especially when you're doing a recreation pond, we put an under drain under there just so no water, like no groundwater, nothing that might seep in the sides will actually push your liner up from the bottom. So we got this 4-inch perforated pipe that we have in the trench, and then we're gonna fill it right up with stone. After that, we'll do a layer of fabric so none of the subsoil mixes with the gravel and plugs it. And then we'll end up running that all the way out and daylighting it so the water can just run freely.
I am super impressed with where we are to this point. In essentially 2 days with both of our crews working together, we got the entire pond lined. Quite a few of these large boulders were set down in the bottom. Most of the beach rock work is finished. Drew's working on putting some jets in right now. We're gonna be feeding about a dozen jets throughout this entire pond. We wanna get this water all moving towards where our negative edge is so that all the debris falls off that side and is collected at the very bottom of the system. We're getting just delivery after delivery of huge boulders. I mean, look at this guy, what a nice rock. Right now, Colby's tossing around those things like they're nothing, but in reality, those rocks are 3 or 4 tons each. They're the weight of a regular family sedan. I mean, these are big, big boulders. The entire under drain is put in underneath the pond. We put in a pipe along with about 1 foot of gravel all throughout here, and it runs all the way through this end of the site. So any water that gets underneath the pond or underneath our reservoir is gonna make its way out and just bleed into the woods there. Speaking of reservoir, that is what the focus is gonna be for me today. I wanna get this 7,000 gallon reservoir excavated and hopefully installed. We're gonna have a 20-foot by 32-foot excavation here to fit 216 large aqua blocks. Once we get the excavation done, then we're gonna put down our layers of rock pad, then our liner, which is gonna encapsulate the entire reservoir, followed by another layer of fabric before the aqua blocks and the snorkels and centipedes go in. I'm gonna grab Jason. We're gonna get digging here and get this reservoir in. In the meantime,
over here on the far wall, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna kind of keep coming up. We got a high bank to come up, 7 feet, maybe a little more than 7 feet. We got rocks coming out so we can gravel back and make everything stable and just step back. But today, the goal is that bank.
get tons of questions about overlaps. We've got our constructed wetland filter up here, which has its own piece of liner, and then we've got the pond coming up underneath the berm here. So what we want to make sure of is, number one, the transition from where the water is going to be coming out to what the water level in the pond is at least 6-7 inches or better. Here we're looking at probably 18 inches of free space before it hits water line, so we're more than good. What we've got is the pond liner is coming up over the top of this berm, and it's going back into the wetland. Then we're going to take our wetland liner and we're going to bring it right over the top of that, down into here, creating like a shingle effect, so that the water is going to be able to go over the top of the wetland liner into here with no chance of it going back underneath and escaping. Overlaps are essentially that easy. You just want to make sure that you've got at least 6, really 8 or 10 inches is better, of space between where the water's coming out and what the level of the next body of water is. So whether you're overlapping into another waterfall section or into a reservoir or into a pond, as long as you've got that good 7-8 inches of airspace, you'll be fine with bringing the one liner up underneath and then overlapping your other waterfall liner on top of it. If you find yourself in a situation where you've only got like 3 or 4 inches of gap before it hits the next body of water, you're going to want to probably do a seam. But here, overlap worked just great.
We got pretty much, I'd say at least half the pond or more rocked. We just put in this really cool rock over here that you're gonna be able to leap right off. So there's just so many big boulders. I mean, I bet you there's at least 10 spots where you can just jump off a big rock right into the water.
So that's gonna bring us into day 4 tomorrow with our cruise here. Yes, I know Alan and I had that extra 2 days to do some prep work, but I'm kind of counting it this way. Am I confusing you? I don't know. Call it whatever day you want, but we'll see you tomorrow. This morning we were getting started with just a flurry of activity. All the boys are down in the hole rocking and rolling, setting boulders. We want to probably get this entire bottom section of the pond tightened up today as much as we can. While Alan and the guys get busy on finishing up the bottom of that pond, I've been running around to different stone yards trying to locate some stack stone for some of the detail work we need to do. We need to find steppers coming off the top area of the pond all the way down to where that reservoir is. We're gonna have a set of stairs going down through everything. So trying to find that stuff is proving to be a little bit difficult right now. I've been to 2 separate stone yards and I haven't gotten what I needed. So that's gonna be my mission today, is to find those materials. In the meantime, if we can get this in a good spot, that's gonna give us the opportunity to get down the bottom and dig that reservoir, because we've been a little bit blocked off by all the boulders and the equipment we have here. I didn't really wanna open that up just yet, because if we do, we're cutting off access to the bottom side, and if we do that too early, we're gonna find ourselves in a pinch point. These are all things you gotta consider when you've got several moving parts on a large job. But we got an A team here, so we'll be just fine.
End of week 1, we got an incredible amount of work done. There's a lot of these big boulders are set. It's really starting to take shape. Today, by the end of today, we'll probably have that wetland dug also.
That was a nice try, Alan. You got to bring the energy, kid.
Listen, it's end of week 1.
Yeah, we still got 2 more weeks here. Don't start fading on me now.
Oh, I'm not gonna fade. Come on.
Like Alan was saying, we've got so much rock work set. I'd say we've got every bit of 100 tons set, right?
Oh, I would think so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, serious amount of work. I'm so proud of this entire team coming together to make this happen. I love the way this is turning out over here. That huge jump rock surrounded by all those massive outcropping boulders. That boulder there, I can see people sitting on, just kind of hanging out while the kids are jumping off the rock. I could see some landscaping around the backside, almost creating like a little cove over there where you have to walk around and then you approach onto this rock. Over there is where we're going to concentrate today. we've got to get the rock work done inside the pond so that we can create our negative edge waterfall that goes down to the reservoir. Jason and Drew and the guys are going to be over here doing all the edge work. We've got to get all this plumbing hooked up for the jets, finish up the edges and tighten everything up. We want to close this entire side of the pond up. Boley's busy doing his Boley thing. Well, that stack stone is looking really cool. And actually Megan loves that. She loves the look of it because we've got some of it over there in the cracks underneath the jump rock. So we're going to tie that in over on this side. Boley's going to finish up doing the waterfalls here. We're going to have something cascading out this side. A nice drop here. I can see this where the kids can go like in between the rocks and hang out underneath the waterfall. The water will actually hit this rock and flow into the pond. And then over here on the right side, more of the same. We're going to have a cascade coming through here, coming off this rock. Might even sneak some around this side. And then it flows out into this beach area. Steve and Megan took us out to dinner last night and they couldn't be happier with the way things are turning out and the speed at which we're getting it done, which is totally incredible. To have this amount of work done in just 1 week, I don't know how else we could have done this than if we had come together with Deckers and us to make this pond a reality. We're gonna finish super strong today for week 1. Hopefully have this pond about 95% buttoned up. So when we start up again next week, we can really get rolling on that waterfall and our reservoir down the bottom.